Hey, what's up guys? John here. Inflation is about to get absolutely out of control, and I mean that in a big way. Unfortunately, about 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I reported on this channel that food prices are really going to start to pick up from a lot of the indicators that I was looking at, but most importantly, from a billionaire CEO that owns a chain of grocery stores. He was issuing his indicators showing that food prices are likely going to be going up about 10% over the next 30 days, and when he reported that and I looked into it, it seemed right. But now he came out again and he's saying something very, very important that we all need to pay attention to. This coupled with the CPI and where things are very likely headed with this whole Russian-Ukraine problem, it looks like we're going to start to see rising prices in a massive way. With that being said, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's going on. Hit the like button. YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's really going on, the truth. Billionaire supermarket owners warns food price will continue to rise for the next few months. John Catsimatidis, the billionaire owner and CEO of New York City supermarket chain Gristedes, argued on Monday that food price will continue to rise for the next 3 months as the war between Russia and Ukraine rages on and the prices of oil remains elevated. Catsimatidis, who is also the CEO of United Refining Company and Red Apple Group, a real estate and aviation company, told Morning with Maria that he predicts that within the next 30 to 45 days, food prices will soar another 10%. Another 10% amid the inflationary environment. That is about 3 years worth of inflation, 3 to 4 years worth of inflation in the next 30 days is what he's saying. Inflation hit a fresh 40-year high in February with the consumer price index climbing 7.9% on an annual basis according to the data released last month by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Month over month, inflation rose 0.8%. The year-over-year reading is in line with estimates and compares with the annual 7.5% jump in January, marking the fastest increase since February 1982 when inflation hit 7.6%. From January to February, nearly every category of goods and services got pricier. Gas jumped 6.6% and accounted for almost a third of price hikes. Grocery costs jumped 1.4%, the sharpest one-month increase since 1990. Other than during a pandemic-induced price surge 2 years ago, the cost of fruits and vegetables rose 2.3%, the largest monthly increase since 2010. For the 12-month ending in February, grocery prices leaped 8.6%, the biggest year-over-year increase since 1981. The government said gas prices are up a whopping 38%, and housing costs have risen 4.7%, the largest yearly jump since 1991. 4.7% seems extremely low. If you look at a lot of markets, all cities, we're seeing double-digit price jumps, not 4.7 price increases. Inflation data for March will be released next week. The February data, the latest data currently available, was taken before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which pushed prices for some commodities higher. The cost of wheat, corn, cooking oils, and such metals as aluminum and nickel have soared since the war began, as Ukraine and Russia are leading exporters of these commodities. As inflation rises, meat and poultry prices are largely expected to continue their climb in the U.S. this year, according to new analysis. Catsimatidis argued that if President Biden reverses course on his energy stance and opens up North America, the U.S. can be self-induced once again. The prices of food will come right down and the price of oil impact transportation costs. He went on to recommend North American Energy Treaty, which will allow for a production of 15 million barrels a day and will make North America self-sufficient. There's no reason we should be making our enemies rich and making the American people poor, he added, and that's what it comes down to. Oil and gas prices have risen as demand recovers from the depths of the pandemic, and as demand increases the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. A major oil and gas producer has increased the risk of sanctions and export restrictions could negatively impact supply amid the rising demand. On Monday, a barrel of U.S. crude oil gained 1.64%, $1.64 to around 101 a barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange. Early last month, when disruptions to oil supply were at their height, the price briefly touched $130. Last week, oil prices fell 13% after Biden announced the largest ever U.S. oil reserves, intending to help alleviate record high gas prices across the U.S. Brent crude international benchmark was trading higher on Monday at around $106 per barrel. Now, what's very fascinating is how they calculate CPI. CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is measured that examines the weight weighted average of a price of basket of consumer goods and services such as transportation, food, and medical care is calculated by taking the price changes for each item in the predetermined basket of goods and averaging them. Now, if you look at the watch market, for example, a lot of expensive watches have tripled in value in the last year and a half. Same with cars. We're seeing used car prices 40% or more. Rents increased 20%. A lot of markets, even in Florida, we're seeing 20-30% appreciation. Same with Los Angeles and New York. Insane levels of appreciation in all these properties and housing costs. We're not seeing a 7% CPI. However, if you choose a certain basket of goods and you use these to determine the CPI can either become much lower or much higher depending on the items in which you choose inside of your basket. Now, the Consumer Price Index, fears over inflation hit record highs in March in the Fed survey. Now, they're worrying about increasing over inflation with the new Federal Reserve data showing a record high fear of surging prices. Consumers now seeing inflation at 6.6% over next year. According to the New York Fed survey in March, it's a 10% increase in the median expectation just over the past month, and the highest level in a series dates to 2013. This is absolutely insane to me how fast this is progressing. It went from being transitory 6 months ago to now everyone's starting to really wake up, realizing that this is about to get out of control. I would not be surprised if you looked at what $100,000 could actually purchase you today, and you go out 2 years or 3 years. If we continue down this trend, if we do continue, that $100,000 might only have $20,000 or $30,000 in purchasing power at this rate. The survey showed the median expectation over a 3-year span actually decreased by 0.01 percentage point to 3.7, largely due to declining outlook for those annual household incomes below $50,000. However, uncertainty about inflation over both the 1 and 3-year spans showed record highs. Household spending expectations rose sharply, climbing 1.3 percentage points to 7.7. The data comes before the release of the March Consumer Price Index, which is expected to show prices rising at 8.4% pace over 12 months. According to the Dow Jones estimate, if that forecast is accurate, it would be the highest number since 1981. Now, what also would happen here is landlords will realize that people will not be able to not only just feed themselves at a comfortable place like they were able to a few years ago, let alone save money for a down payment. Meaning landlords are going to gain more and more control, likely pushing prices even higher, because where else can renters go? They have to rent. That's why I really do believe we're going to start to see more of a room share type of atmosphere in a lot of expensive cities, where we're going to start to see, almost like dorm room style living coming very, very soon, probably the next year or two. To fight inflation, the Fed last month approved its first interest rate hike in more than 3 years. Additional increases are expected throughout the year as inflation runs well above the central bank's long-standing target of 2%. Consumers see the fastest increase coming from rent at 10%. The actual average rent increase is 17.8%, which accounts for about 1/3 of the CPI. Medical care, food, and gasoline are expected to jump by 9.6%. The outlook for college costs decreased by 0.05 percentage points to 8.5%. Anticipated wage gains held steady at 3%. Now, if prices across the board were going up by 20% or 30%, and wages are only going up by 3%, then that could be a net loss of 27% for people that are sticking with traditional 3% wage increases. That's why I'm saying across the board, everyone needs to increase their prices 30%. And if you can't do that, then either change your offer or change your career or reposition what it is you offer for sale, because there's no other way. While 36.2% said they think the unemployment rate will increase over the next year, the highest level since February 2021, unemployment is currently at 3.6%, just above where it was prior to the pandemic. Though labor force participation remains 1 percentage point lower, anxiety increased slightly over job stability, with the probability of losing one's job over the next year rising 11.1%, a 0.03 percentage point gain that is still well below the 13.8% pre-pandemic level. Now, what I think is very smart, if let's say that you have $1,000 or $2,000 and you generally go to the grocery store once a week and you pick up select items, I think it's very intelligent right now to buy items that you know you will need over the next 6 months now, simply because it'll be much cheaper today than it will be tomorrow. And if you can save yourself the money, why not do it? Now, the risk here, the way that I look at things is many people will bet on a crypto or a stock hoping to make 10%. Well, if you can buy things that you're definitely going to need no matter what, and you're going to use it in a worst case scenario, then you have no downside risk, and you could probably make the same amount of returns just simply by buying things you're going to need and holding on to them. What do you think about all this? Where do you see inflation going in 2022? Where do you see oil prices going? You think this is going to continue, or do you think we're going to see a pullback and things are going to normalize? Drop your comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe here. Consider subbing on my second YouTube channel. Links down below, and TikTok, where I post 3 to 5 times a day. I'll catch you guys later.